We've hit the part of the season where the standings lie and the film doesn't. BYU showed up in Lawrence as two completely different teams, and the real question now is which version actually travels. Texas Tech lost again, and the defense that carried them early suddenly feels optional. Tennessee made free throws. Yay, Tennessee. But still reminded how thin everything is. Nebraska is betting the season on math. Purdue finally found another gear, and Vanderbilt's margin for error just vanished. This wasn't about results. It was about comfort. Who adapted and who panicked? And because the separation isn't coming later, it's happening right now. Brad, who lost control of their own narrative this weekend?
I'm not trusting resumes as much as I'm trusting habits. BYU can't keep pretending the first half doesn't count. Texas Tech's defense isn't a blip anymore. It's literally a problem. Tennessee looks tougher, but thinner, if we're being honest. Nebraska is daring the math gods every night, and there are teams sitting near the top of their conference that feel more lucky than legit. This is the stretch where contenders solve problems and pretenders explain them away. Let's talk about who's actually built for February.
If you're here for honest college oops takes and not rankings fluff for PR spin, this is your show. Subscribe. February exposes everyone.
And when we kick things off, we gotta hit it hot here with BYU at Kansas.
Yeah, so Kansas with Peterson, to me, is the best team in the country. Kansas without Peterson is a top 25, maybe just outside of the top 25 team in the country. There's two completely different teams, and they played completely different ways. And they came out and they jumped out to a 21-point lead in the first half. And then Peterson plays maybe 2-3 minutes in the second half and sits with whatever the hell that thing was on his lap. And BYU just systematically chips at the lead because BYU doesn't know how to play in the first half. They just know the 20 minutes at the end of the game are what counts for some god-awful reason. Neither one of these teams, to me, is a recipe for success in March because they're so heavily dependent on one factor of their game to be consistent and successful. If Kansas doesn't have Peterson, they have zero identity whatsoever. And if BYU doesn't play the first half, they have zero identity whatsoever. They're just like parts of a great team that aren't quite great yet. And I think if they could figure out a way to piece it all together, yeah, they'd be dominant teams in the tournament. But right now, it's just like you have the parts of the puzzle is all there. You have all the pieces. You're just not putting them together. Again, it's not a recipe for success in March, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked at BYU. It took them 10 minutes to get the Kansas shot off, which is crazy. Considering you run your offense through him. I mean, Saunders was the only one that showed up whatsoever. I mean, he had a fantastic night, double, 33 points at 6 threes. But just both these teams have very, very different sides. Like you said, Darren Peterson, if he could ever stay healthy, Kansas would be a top 5 team. Like, he changes that flow so much, and he's so dangerous. Like, I think at points multiple points throughout the year, he's averaging more points than minutes played, which is just ridiculous. Then he must be the most fragile human on this planet. Because a slight tweak and he shuts it down for a game. That's got to be frustrating if you're a Kansas fan. And BYU comes out and plays the second half. Every game they play the second half like a top 5 team, but then the first half they play like a bottom 20 team. Like, it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of coaching decisions, and I don't know if it's necessarily coaching decisions by Kevin Young with BYU or the players just not some disconnect or something. It's at one point in the second half you'd put up like 25 points or 30 points, and Reggie Saunders had 80% of them, and you went 3 possessions without giving him the ball. The guy's hot. Like, feed the hot hand. It's basic stuff. So I don't know if it's coach, players, what, because the defense wasn't totally eliminated. But they weren't running the offense to get him open. It was just, I was very confused there, especially when you're trying to make that run to close a 20-point lead. Brought it all the way back to 6 and got the most Kansas call that I've ever seen in my life.
It was the most Kansas call I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was in the second half, about 2 minutes left. BYU is down 6, shoots a 3, misses it, and there's a lot of space on the rebound. And they pick up the offensive rebound and the whistle blows. And I've watched this play at least 7 times now, and I cannot find a single foul. I can barely find physical contact on the play, and then that changes it to 8. That kind of ends the game because there wasn't enough time, too little, too late. Don't know if BYU would have completed the comeback, but that sure as hell didn't help.
Nope, it really didn't.
And both teams still 0 bench. I mean, BYU got 3 total points, and Kansas got 8, but BYU at least played 4 guys. Kansas played 1 and then maybe a quarter of another guy. Because McDowell got 26 minutes and then Dawson and Jackson got 9 combined minutes. So, like, neither of those teams are going to go far in March because they're too easy to not beat, but they trip them all themselves up.
Yeah. Yep.
And I heard someone talk about how that Bill Self should get credit for how he's managing this Kansas team in the midst of this Darren Peterson back and forth, which I thought that kind of made me giggle. I wouldn't say that he's been the saving grace or he's been the one, making that happen. Darren Peterson is the number 1 guy in the country, and number 1 draft pick for a reason. It seems like scouts are supporting that still. I mean, even with his lack of playing, that doesn't seem to matter as much anymore as it used to. Yeah, definitely a big game. We'd like to have seen Darren Peterson play more, just like everyone else in the country. But he's going to continue to be. I guess he's going to continue to be hindered by one thing or another.
He's built like Bob Sanders from the Colts from like 15, 20 years ago. He just made of balsa wood. And it's like, I was we're at the Pacers game. We're talking about them potentially having the number 1 pick. And I'm like, no, I don't want Peter. It's like, he'll just be on the sidelines with Halliburton and Nobi Top hurt all year, just eating up cap room.
All right. This one was a brutal result, in my opinion, but it's Texas Tech at UCF. UCF with the win.
UCF played their balls off. Like they came out with a game plan. They executed well. They shot the ball well. They did everything. I mean, they were just killing Texas Tech on the glass for almost all game. I mean, 13 offensive rebounds to 4, 35 total rebounds to 23. They didn't turn the ball over, and they made Texas Tech look lost and confused. It also didn't help that Texas Tech couldn't guard its own shadow this game. They could not stay in front of anybody. And it was just constant dump off, and wide open shot. Because whoever's guarding the ball was getting beat, helped steps up, and then it was just a really well-run team. Even with I missed the front end of the game, so I don't know exactly what was going on with Kugel, whatever his name is, but like he was kind of sick and not feeling well, and so he was a little bit hampered. But Fultz came through, and I mean he put on a show with carrying that team for a while. But this game raised a bunch of questions about Texas Tech to me that I thought they had solved. They brought them all back. There was too many possessions, especially in a row where they would go and just not give the ball to JT Toppin, which made 0 sense because he was having a great game and just weren't giving it to him. And then like Anderson played well, but he didn't shoot too great, and he turned the ball over a few times. But nobody else really stepped up. They shot some dumb threes at times, like especially Pay 0 for 3. And then, like I said, the defense is just shockingly bad. I did not expect that ever out of a Grant McCastle team.
Their defense reminded me a lot of the way they played against Purdue. Like they just looked lost, and the motions that UCF was running just had them in a blender. Toppin didn't get much help. I mean, Anderson played pretty well, but I think we go back to some of the concerns that we've had with other teams. Your top 2 players combined for 8 turnovers, and they actually had Toppin and Anderson combined had more turnovers than UCF did the entire game. And so you start factoring that stuff in. I don't even sure. I bet. Let me look at points off turnovers. Well, I was going to say points off turnovers, 18-2. So I think we might have solved the great mystery of what happened in this game right there. I mean, Texas Tech gets out rebounded by 12. They have 7 or 8 more turnovers than UCF, and they get outscored on the points off of turnovers. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster because Texas Tech didn't shoot poorly. They just didn't play defense, and they didn't take care of the ball.
Yeah, like the turnover thing was. I remember. I think it was like 4.5 minutes left to go in the game, and they had their first turnover of the second half. UCF did, like going almost 16 minutes without a turnover in a tight game. That's incredible. They'll win a ton of games that way. I mean, there was a lot of heat on Dawkins over the last couple of years, and I think he's definitely put that to bed here this year with wins over Kansas and Texas Tech. At home, I mean, they're looking at a fairly solid end the tournament right now. It's like with how they've played and the credit they'll get for being in the Big 12. I'm just still shocked at like Texas Tech just not playing defense whatsoever. And I mean, all 6 of their almost half their turnovers were still live ball steals that just turned immediately into a massive amount of points. and then they couldn't shoot free throws. That came back to bite them at clutch times. There were several times that they were tired or took like a 1 point lead, get to the line, and like they just go 0 for the world and just give the ball right back to UCF, who came down and punished them every time. They made every big play, every right play. It was an impressive performance out of UCF.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely got to give them their flowers. I want to keep the flowers for all to myself. For our next game, we've got Kentucky beating Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena.
Really a shame. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm going to keep those flowers for myself.
It's really a shame both teams couldn't lose this game. But Kentucky actually looked really, really good in this game. I don't think Arkansas played too terribly bad. I mean, I don't think they played their best game at all. They didn't shoot well from three. I mean, nobody really did. I guess Kentucky shot 46%. There was 11 total turnovers in this game. This was clean basketball. I mean, it was actually like a pretty good game and pretty well played. Kentucky just looked good. I hate saying that. I mean, they were shot 54% from the floor, 46% from three, and 7 turnovers for a Kentucky team that has struggled to take care of the ball. I mean, I haven't been high on Kentucky all year, but this was a big statement win for this team. I mean, they've had some of these really weird, glitchy comebacks, but they were pretty well controlled in most of this game.
This question popped up for me when I was looking watching this game. And I couldn't tell. Is Acuff just having a bad night, or did Kentucky do something to force that bad night? If you just look at the points scored, you're going to miss it because he was 8 of 20, 1 of 4 from deep, only 3 assists, and had 2 turnovers. So it was a bad night for him. 22 points is a bad night for this guy. But it was not a great night, very inefficient. And then that's kind of led to Brazil taking way too many threes because the Acuff was off. And like we said when we previewed this game, this Arkansas goes as Acuff goes. And if Acuff is off, I'm not sure Arkansas has anything. And that perfect true as 2 of their starters forgot to score. But if I see that kind of defense out of Kentucky again, being able to just frustrate the crap out of opposing teams' guards, because I mean Malik Thomas wasn't doing that great either. He couldn't find any open areas. That's a really good sign if you're a Kentucky fan, because I think Ole has woken up. He's got 20 plus in the last 3 games. One of those was a blowout loss, but he still scored. He was the only one playing that game. So if he's awake, and that you've got Aberdeen who can go off, or Raymond Lee, and like Diabate can do it too. So there's some hope here for Kentucky if they continue this momentum. But if I've seen Kentucky do this once this year, they've done great here for a stretch, and then they'll lose by 90 to somebody they shouldn't lose by 90 to, and take all that hope away. This is what I've been afraid of it for Arkansas all year. I kind of expected. Acuff has just been so great that he's carried them through and kind of made those mistakes, not like as bad as they've been, kind of covers those up. So, but he was off. I mean, 39 minutes. He could be starting to get tired, so he could do this a little bit more often.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, Jake. I think Acuff is the mask for Arkansas right now. And if he's off, the mask is off.
Yeah, that's well said. Then we've got Ole Miss, who can't shoot a 3, versus Vanderbilt, and Vandy with the win.
Yeah, a lot closer than I thought this was going to be. A lot closer than I thought this was going to be. I thought Ole Miss actually hung pretty tough. I think slowly but surely we're starting to see chinks in this Vanderbilt armor. I mean, they've obviously lost 3 games. Doesn't necessarily mean the end of the world, because if that was the case, then I'd have to hang up all my Purdue gear for the rest of the year. No, I thought Vanderbilt got off to a hot start, and Ole Miss just kind of systematically clawed their way back and really had a hell of a second half and put themselves in position to force overtime, but they just couldn't quite get it done.
The thing that stood out to me the most is the margin of error that Vandy used to have is completely gone. That Duke Miles injury is big, a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Nobody else can really help bring the ball up. It's all on Tanner, and then he's got to carry a lot of the scoring load for the guards. He took 20 shots last night and had 24 points. The next that he scored with Okereke, who had 17, but 11 of those came from the free throw line. Nobody's doing much on offense there to help the scoring. I mean, McLaughlin was shut down. Nickel was off. I don't know. I think Vandy could be definitely, I think, is out of the SEC championship conversation. But I think we're looking at an opening weekend loss the way it's going, unless something gets fixed. Because they're going to come in at what, 3 or 4 seed.
Right.
That next team isn't going to be a slouch team.
Yeah. I was going to say right now, yeah, they're probably a 4. Probably a 4. And 3 might be best case scenario, 5 might be realistic. And those are the games everybody picks to be the upsets, because historically you're more likely to see one of those than, a 2 or a 3, and God forbid a 1. That's a trouble territory for sure.
Injury is playing a lot bigger than I thought. Because Ole Miss is not a great team. They're not a terrible team by any stretch, but they're not a great team. And at home, I would have thought Vandy does a little bit better. This was eye-openingly bad, shocking. I mean, I don't know who they feel that they. And I mean, Byington's struggling to fill that second spot role too. So maybe he gets it figured out. Because I mean, James played a bit, Bing played a bit, Harris played some. Like he's plug and play, but nothing seems to be working out.
Well, I feel like too. Do you think? I think this is a valid question. Did Vandy peak too early, or are they just now seeing some contending competition? I mean, I know there were some few games there at the beginning SEC play that were tough and good wins, but
I don't know if it's
still.
so much a peak too early as it was like they got into some real competition and then they got beat up, and then like let's say the Duke Miles at Harry's playing bigger than it should have. Because he brought something to that team, and aggressiveness, the second ball handler that let Tyler Harris be more of a point guard, and so now he's having to do both roles, and it just opens up a lot of weaknesses there. Like it's like you get that one part in the armor in the video game, you finally get that to break, and then you can get in there and make it all break. It's kind of Duke Miles is that first hole, and then now it's easy to break everything else apart.
Now we've got, hey, listen, nice win for the Vols. Tennessee beating Auburn at home. Just a solid win. Kind of a wonky game, but a nice win nonetheless.
Yeah.
We kept them on the 3-4. Like I said, that was the goal, and that's what we should do on defense when we previewed this game. Made him shoot 31 threes, and they hit 7. I think that's the biggest difference in the game. We really didn't play that well, especially in the second half. Made a living at the free throw line for once, so that's good. But the Akpara injury, I didn't even see him get hurt in the last game, in the Georgia game. But that played a big role because we went coming into this year, we were really deep in the front court. We had Phillips and Estrella, Net, Akpara, Carey, and now like when Carey's out, it's Estrella, him, and maybe Dwayne Brown. Like because Amit's playing out on the guard now. That injury really needs to get fixed. We need Akpara healthy just from a main standpoint. Oh, this was a great win. He played rough, but he did enough defensively. So the 15 turnovers still terrible. Knocking down the free throws and making the shots when he needed to make them is big. We just finally get to see the Tennessee defense kind of flex a little bit here.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it quite a bit here recently, but Nate Ament, just to kind of recap his last 5, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 29.7 rebounds, 17.5 rebounds in a loss, and then 23.7 rebounds. I think he's here.
That's great.
This is the Nate Ament that Tennessee needs to be successful in February and March here. And I think it's happening at exactly the right time.
He couldn't have happened at a better time. We need to be healthy. We're still a second tier SEC team at best. I think the first tier, or just not offensively good enough or defensively good enough to push us up there. But having him at least gives me some hope that it's his Sweet 16. Because there for a minute, I was worried we weren't even going to see the tournament.
Also, I feel like Estrella, his 8 points were the loudest 8 points of the night. They always come in at the exact right time, right when you need them. Especially when he hits that little like kind of awkward floater. It's so technically off, but it works every time. He's money from that.
Yeah, I love that. Like maybe his Akpara injury and him getting the starting lineup kind of wakens him up a little bit aggressively offensively because there for a minute, him, Akpara, and whoever else we threw in that role besides Carey, we're almost scared to shoot, and I think that hurt us so bad because they were able to sag the lane or double Gillespie, and it just made everything miserable.
Carey lives on the block. That's where he wants to stay. That's where he wants to live. He doesn't get pulled out of there if he doesn't have to. And I get it. I understand that's where he's most comfortable and that's where he's most effective. He had some really, really solid plays. It felt like position wise to get himself open, and clearing the lane out for Gillespie. I wish that would happen more with our other big men to be able to clear out the inside a little bit more. But yeah, I really think he did some good things there that we needed. But yeah, overall a nice collective team win for the Vols.
So we were at the Pacers game, and I was watching this on my phone. Was there any kind of reaction to Stephen Pearl?
No.
That's what I figured would
No,
happen. And they all social media and the TV tried to make that a thing. And I'm like, it wasn't that beloved of a player. His dad, but like people could like
it wouldn't have been.
When I say this, I loved what he played on the team because he made a lot of sticky plays and plays that will show up in the box score. And I thought he played great and filled a very good role for us. But he didn't do anything that made him loved by the crowd, where there was going to be a visceral reaction either way for him returning.
The media really wanted it. The broadcast team wanted it. I actually felt like, and I don't know if anybody else felt like this, but it felt like Dane Bradshaw was almost annoyed about how much he had to talk about Stephen Pearl and not about the basketball game. But as soon as I saw that he was on the call, I'm like, they're going to force this down our throats, this whole Stephen Pearl coming back thing. And they really tried to, but he started kind of brushing it off to be able to, get back to talking ball, which is what he's best at. I think he does a pretty solid job, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the second time in about a week where Illinois has gone into hostile territory against a top 10 team and pulled out a gritty win. This one was a more consistent, led the entire way kind of deal, whereas like against Purdue, they got hot really late and sealed the game away a little bit. But this Illinois team is flexing the muscles that we all thought they had preseason, and they're looking good doing it. And this is a big statement win. Nebraska's now dropped 2 to the top teams in the 10 now. So I don't think we're asking Nebraska questions yet, but they've faced 2 of the top Big 10 teams and it's not gone well for them here in the last week, but it's a long season. I don't think this raises a ton of Nebraska questions right now, but I think it's more of a statement win by Illinois. And that's 2 big wins that they've had in the last week.
I came away extremely impressed with Illinois' defense. They did not let Nebraska do anything they wanted to. It was impressive what they were doing. They kept them locked down, especially for a team that is known to score a lot. Keeping them below 70 is impressive. I still am waiting for this Illinois team to be a 3-ball team, but they're still doing all their work on the inside. It's just makes us even scarier. Like I said, they're so deep, they're so thin at the same time. It's Wagler and then 1 or 2 other ones. You just don't know which 1 or 2 other ones are going to show up. Wagler is oh my gosh, that dude is just incredible. Every night he's coming out and doing something special. I don't know how this got missed by so many recruiting agencies and stuff. I don't know what he was showing that they didn't see. It doesn't make sense to rank this guy 150th, and here he is carrying a top, probably argue top 5 team. He's carrying us. They're probably, do they have slow lock on first place right now?
I don't think they're tied for first.
Well, Devin
Michigan, Illinois, 10-1, 10-1. Michigan, Illinois, but it has Illinois second, just because Michigan's 20-1. I guess overall.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever the tiebreaker is, they all get solved in a little bit, but it's just, I don't understand how that gets missed. I don't know. I don't have a lot of Nebraska questions. I am saying that the same thing that happened in the Michigan year. They shot 1 more free throw. They shot 5 free throws this time. They've got to do some work in the lane. You've got to get inside. You've got to draw some fouls. That's going to open up your 3-point shots. Because not rebounding that well. The best threes, the best looks will always come off an offensive rebound. You've got to get inside to open up that 3 ball. You made 15. Obviously, that's not enough. You're still losing by 9 because you're not getting anything done.
All right, then for the second game on Sunday is Purdue at Maryland. Purdue used Maryland as a punching bag. Another W and the win column for the Boilermakers, though.
Yeah, so I think this was a big slump buster for Purdue and Fletcher Lawyer. Braden Smith came out and did Braden Smith things. It was a good balance of scoring and assists. I think it was wound up with 19 and 6. But Fletcher Lawyer, I've said this for a while, sometimes you just need to find the big girl at the bar and take her home. And I think Maryland was the big girl at the bar here. You got to get out of the slump one way or the other. This was a good get-right game. This is a bad time for Purdue to get a week off, though. because they'll be playing Oregon on Saturday. But when you get this hot, when you're as hot as Purdue was tonight, you don't want to go a week without playing again. But this team kind of refound their identity a little bit. Again, it's against Maryland. We're not talking like a caliber game. This, I think, a quad 3 win at this point. But it's good to get a big win. It's good to get a 30-point win. And it's good to see Fletcher Lawyer shoot 7 for 10 from the 3-point line. It looked, after his first one went down, you thought he might not miss, and he barely did. And it was good to see that. And it was good to feel that as a Purdue fan, to watch him get some shots to go down. That's the Fletcher Lawyer we're going to need in February and March as we close out the Big Ten and start getting in the tournament play.
For sure. Yeah, I felt good for him.
Yeah, Braden Smith came out. They are so much better when he's a scoring guy too. When he's scoring and not just concentrate on getting assists. This Purdue team flows a lot better, but still standing by the point. TKR and Clough can't play together. It's not working. Like Clough played 19 minutes. He had 6 points and three rebounds. Jacobson had a better night with 8 and 5. And he spaced the floor because he could at least look at the 3 ball and it is an acceptable threat out there. It's just, I think to get to that next level where Purdue should be and wants to be, I think that lineup change has a lineup. It's just not working. And teams are able to pick it apart on defense. Maryland wasn't a team that was good enough to pick it apart, and this had to feel good for Lawyer. And I didn't realize they had the week off. This is the absolute worst timing to have a game like that. All you want to do is get back out there, and now all it does is practice for a week. That sucks.
All right, we're going to kind of hit these quickly here. We've got Arizona and Arizona State.
Arizona State made this one curious for a half. And I think we called that. I think it's like this is a rivalry game. It's going to be squirrely. But Arizona's going to Arizona. I don't think they covered, did they?
It depends when you got the number.
16 and a half is where we talked about.
That's what we talked about. That's where it opened it. But it closed closer to 13.
Did it? Okay. Gotcha.
Depends where you got.
Would have been a good time to take Arizona State on the points there. But Arizona just went full Arizona in the second half. And we get the result that we've gotten 21 other times this year. They're absolutely fantastic. The country runs through them right now.
And we had UConn absolutely demolishing Creighton.
Yeah, this was finally UConn flexing a little bit. I need to see this a few more times before I'm a true UConn believer. I've been very down on Creighton this whole year. So I think Saturday, we get St. John's with UConn. So that should be fun one to see. But this looked like the UConn that is a top tier team. It was nice to see that they had it in the bag. We'll see it be able to be brought out a few more times.
Yeah, and good to see Braylon Mullins back after concussion protocol, and he played fantastic. 16 points off 50% shooting, and the kind of production that UConn needs out of him. But this was a no-doubter. UConn finally kind of came in and shot her down real quick.
Then we had Duke at Virginia Tech. Duke continuing, just so good.
Like they played terribly offensively. They couldn't hit for anything for long stretches. They went long stretches without scoring. But that defense is one thing special. Another team held below 60. Like Tech could not find any breath. And then when they did, it was like they were so shocked they couldn't hit the lineup of spots. Rebound great. They're long. Shire is a heck of a defensive coach. I had to have a game plan because Foster and Sarr were both game time decisions. With the illness that's running through the locker room, so they weren't playing at full speed, and they still came out one at a decent Virginia Tech on the road and just locked that down. This Duke team is certainly impressive and flying a little bit under the radar, which is scary.
Which is exactly where they want to be, because as a Duke team, when you're flying under Duke normal radar, you're getting a lot of attention and a lot of home run shots, and they're not getting that from teams right now because people are talking about your Arizonas, your Michigans, your UConns, and Duke is just silently over here destroying people.
And then we had St. Mary's at Gonzaga. Gonzaga taking care of business and getting the win.
Welcome back, EK. Well, that was a game. They dropped 30, torching St. Mary's. The scary thing is there wasn't a ton of help for him, so St. Mary's able to stay in the game. They just couldn't shoot at all. 6 of 21 from deep. Maybe a few more of those. We're looking at a totally different story. But I was just happy to see EK back. He's one of my favorite guys to watch play. I love watching him. It's just a true. I don't know if he's got NBA on him, but he's fantastic college guy to watch play.
Yeah, I wish I could watch Gonzaga games. They play at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time in the morning, and I just I can't do it. But I watched some highlights of this one. Jake, you said it best. It was an EK night, not a lot of anybody else's night, which is mildly concerning. But there goes St. Mary's KPI for the year. You have one job.
Then we had Cincinnati at Houston, smacked them.
Houston, again, we're talking about a team that's quietly just dominating games. They've gotten 2 losses, one to Tennessee and one to just an absolute war with Texas Tech, when Texas Tech was playing absolutely fantastic. But otherwise, Houston's just, silently going to each game and getting good quality wins and looking good doing it. Kind of a good mix of defense and offense here. This Houston team is dangerous.
2 main things here that I saw that came out of Houston. You won and you scored and you did well without Fleming's being about it. I mean, he had 6 assists, but it's only 7 points. Miles Uzin woke up, 16 points and 7 of 12 shooting, played very well. Plus Miller, I think your time at Cincinnati is going to be done. You're just a bad team. There's no saving that. Like that's got to make you feel better because and Harwell put up double digits. You're able to give Fleming the night off, and your other guards picked it up. That's got to feel good.
And then we had the double overtime game. Indiana at UCLA. A win for the Hoosiers.
Anything not are you right now?
Huh? Yeah, their rally for their football team looked like the attendance for most of their football games for the last 120 years. You win a national title after being the worst college basketball team in the history of anything, and you have roughly the same attendance that you had in 2023 football games. Very, very disappointed in the fan base there. Damn the cold. Bundle up, support the team that you're apparently always been a fan of. Bunch of bandwagons. Yeah. But no, IU basketball, I mean, I tell you, it's going right in waves. They had a 10-point lead with a minute left in the game in regulation and blew it. And they were just a really friendly whistle and review and double OT to win the game. So, I mean, good on them. Ride this wave. They're working their way back into the tournament here.
Yeah. The most impressive part of this to me is coming into the year, it was, okay, who's going to be there to help DeVries? He's not scored. 10 rebounds, 7 assists with those 9 points. I mean, he only took 8 shots. Ford and Wilkerson were lighting it up. And then you had Bailey off the bench doing well. I mean, he did most of his work from free throw line, but hey, that's about it. Just went out there, handled their business. This is just a wild number to see. Donovan Dent played 50 minutes, so almost an hour of game time. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
golly, I didn't catch that.
That's great. I don't know if he's walking today. After that,
ice baths and hot tubs. That's where he should be right now.
Well, McCronen's going to still have him practice, so he's a hard ass.
And he hates everybody on that team.
Yeah,
he hates himself.
He wasn't playing dead to win. It was just playing to punish him.
That is wild. And we had Iowa State versus Kansas State. Kansas State didn't even they had 21 points at halftime.
Yeah.
95-61 Iowa State final score.
Iowa State went a little schneid.
The sad part of this, 21 points at halftime wasn't even the lowest scoring half of Saturday of this weekend's basketball. Pittsburgh on to that with 16 of them.
Ooh,
yeah. That's why you don't watch Pittsburgh basketball. Iowa State went on their little schneid, like right at the end of the year, start of January, and then have looked like world beaters again. Don't be surprised if within the next 20 to 30 days, they're back up in the top 5.
I think they'll be back there relatively soon. Maybe Monday.
Maybe not Monday. I don't think enough happened. Well, I mean, Nebraska dropping 2, but we'll see what happens.
And then we had Alabama at Florida.
Belt to S.
I told you all.
Dangerous.
This was the game that Alabama didn't want. This is the team that they didn't want because Florida is all physical, all front court, and Alabama does not have one, even though they have. And no matter how many NBA All-Star-ish players they sign, which props on Vols fans for almost getting Bidiaco into the All-Star game. But it was easy money because you knew Florida was going to cover. And with the way Oates and Golden were going back and forth in the press conference, you know, Golden was going to take every second he had to flex and just pound Alabama into the ground.
Two of the happiest faces of the day today were Carson's at Monster Jam, when I brought him a monster truck from the little gift shop, and he lit up like the 4th of July, was the happiest kid in the world. And then mine, when I saw Nate Oates get pounded in the sand after making excuses pregame about why his team was going to lose and get out rebounded. Damn the rebounds. You guys ready for some numbers?
Let's hear it.
18 turnovers to 2. 26 points in the paint to 72. Belt pass. Belt to pass.
Yeah, Nate Oates. The Nate Oates hate is it's all over Twitter right now. I mean, just
he brought it on
most
himself.
hated guy.
Knowing that there's a possibility, you can't tell me that Bediako thing was decided overnight. And I know Bediako didn't pay for his lawyer and attorney and all that. So knowing that was a possibility that you were out there exploring that, you went out and made this big grandstand about Namdi or whatever for Baylor, and then a couple weeks later you're doing it. So yeah, you're going to catch all the heat, and then you can't. You were 1-2 with him. You lose to Tennessee the first game you ever, you get drilled at home. You get drilled by Florida. And you beat Missouri. Congratulations, you beat Missouri.
Forgot about that.
Might be a quad 2 win. So there you go. You had to go get a professional basketball player to guarantee yourself a quad 2 win. I'm very happy for you.
Jake, tell these good folks some ways they can get in contact with us and how they can best engage with.
But the best way to engage with us is to comment and subscribe here on YouTube. Then after that, it's TikTok and Instagram, and we're also on Twitter, X, whatever it is now. Throwing out our random thoughts as we watch these games. Most nights it's a bunch of nonsense, but every once in a while we find gold. But the best way is to subscribe here on YouTube and comment and tell us how long we are here.
That's right. We'd love to hear from you. And let's go ahead and talk about Monday's games. We've got Syracuse at North Carolina.
I think North Carolina pretty well. They're on a little bit of a run.
Mm-hmm.
Even winning on the road, they won the last 2 on the road at Virginia, and then they took a pretty good comeback and then handled business at Georgia Tech. The only scary part here, because I mean, if you're laying with North Carolina, you're laying with double digits. Is the monster game that they have on Saturday, and Syracuse is feisty enough to fight around with them and muck this game up and force the turnovers, and that might get them. But I think North Carolina gets this game done. I don't know that I'm taking them to cover, but just because there's too many. There's a look ahead for Saturday with the Duke game, which is also at home. The way Syracuse plays could really eat into some of the weaknesses of the guard play that North Carolina has. So I think this is a lot closer game than what most are thinking.
Yeah, it's a game that I don't plan on watching because I'll be at the Pacers game hoping for another loss. I'm not sure what they were doing beating Atlanta the other night.
What's the phrase again, Sam?
Shit your pants up for Devanza.
There it is. There it is, folks. Put it on a shirt. Make sure you give Sam some credit.
Or please stop caring for some Darren. Although I don't want another player made of Balsawood playing for the Pacers here. The game I'm really looking forward to on Monday night, and you'll lead into this, is Kansas Texas Tech. I do plan on stopping what I'm doing to watch that game.
Yep.
That game is an interesting game. It opens -2.5 for Texas Tech and just jumped out to 4.5 for Texas Tech. And coming off the 2 games we just watched, that feels so incredibly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen here. Neither team has a bench. If Peterson plays, but at the same time, you can't trust because you see him in the first 5 minutes, you'll see him in the next 5 minutes. And so I don't know. I have no clue what to do in this game. I don't think Kansas will travel as well. I think Texas Tech will wake back up at home, but I don't know.
You mean you don't want to go visit Lubbock, Texas? You don't want to go see what's going on in that metropolis?
I would love to. I would love to get to a game at Texas Tech because it always looks like a blast. They stacked that arena, but
I
understand it's extremely hard to get to. It's apparently airports don't work too well around there. But if Kansas wins this game, we're going to have a different conversation about Kansas. They might have played. If they win this game, with or without Peterson, you got to start having a different light on how you're looking at Kansas. Because that would easily put them inside the top 10, even pushing up there closer to the top 5 teams, which it's just a 2 or 3 seed after a team that plummeted out of the rankings. It didn't look like they belonged anywhere. They snapped back up. If this wins, if this goes the other way and Texas Tech blows them out, then it's the same old Kansas. But I don't know. Can't wait to watch this game. I have no clue what's going to happen. Zero clue.
Yeah, it depends on which Texas Tech team shows up, and then if Kansas can have Peterson, and if they can, and for only so many minutes, can they build up a big enough lead to play without him?
If you're soft and you know Peterson's like that, do you start limiting first half minutes?
I think that would be, the wise move. But I don't. Again, are we sure Self is a good coach?
I was just saying that it'd be something that goes through my mind, like just limit some first half minutes, just get him loose, get it like extended warm up, get him some treatment in the locker room, make sure everything's staying loose and not cramping and floating fluids, and then just turn him loose in the second half and see how much of it I get of him. I don't know. That would be my strategy. I'm also way down here on the bench.
This is true, but we get it right every once in a while. On Tuesday, we've got Miami, Ohio at Buffalo.
I put this one on here solely for the fact that this is one of the ones Ken Palm has for a decent chance for Miami, Ohio to lose, which is like we're getting ready to run up onto the point where they're just not going to. But so I've been on the road. I think this was a pretty tight game last time these two teams met. They won in overtime at home. It's a 60. Like Ken Palm has them at a 66% chance to win this game. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Like it's one that you probably need to find a way to watch if I can. But unfortunately, ESPN does their best to hide this game as much as possible. And I'm not sure which of the 17 subscriptions to ESPN you have to have now to watch games. Which one I need, and probably not going to pay for it if I do. I hope I can watch it. It's going to be an interesting game. Not a clue what's going to happen. X's and O's wild. This game was a very not surprising if it's a mirror image of the first one. And then Miami, Ohio pulls some magic out. We'll see.
Then we've got Xavier at UConn.
Get your funeral ready. Xavier's about to get pounded into the dirt.
I hope so. I want to believe in this UConn. Like I will have to need to see him flex on some of these weak teams.
Then we've got Boston College at Duke.
Get your funeral ready. Boston College is about to get pounded into the dirt.
Does Boston College break 50?
No. I think they get 54 because Duke will take out their starters with about 10 minutes left in the game.
Their only hope is Duke is looking so far ahead to Saturday that they forget that Boston College is on the floor for 10 to 15 minutes.
And then we've got Ole Miss at Tennessee.
This was an interesting one to me, especially like it was a hard play. I know it's a cap review. It's game time every time. Like last game, and Ole Miss, like I love the coach. The beard is incredible, and they have some lightning in the bottle they can throw out there. Like AJ Storr can easily dismantle teams when he's on, but he can also decide he doesn't want to play. So at least Tennessee's got him at home. But we're 4 in a row Tennessee now, 1-4 in a row. So if you start putting 5 in a row, like Tennessee might be putting this is a very much a signal game for me. If Tennessee's put it all together, they can stay healthy, can maybe do some damage. This is also where Rick Barnes likes to trip up and screw up a little bit because we don't get the offense going and the defense. If somebody's having a hot night, we can't, and the defense isn't as good as it has been in the past. Nervous about this game, but I'm also just feels like the way it's going right now, this feels like it should be all Tennessee.
Yeah. The matchup indicator on this one is 85% Tennessee. I'm closer to 90. This Ole Miss team did play pretty tough the other night. I don't see it on paper or physically them being able to do anything against this Tennessee basketball team. This season has been really, really funny at times. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a good signal game for Tennessee. If they can win this one, hell, it probably propels them back to the rankings if they're not already. But this will be just a really, really good win for this Tennessee team that's still kind of sort of needed.
Looking at Tennessee, going back through it, if Tennessee could just hold on to leads late in the second half,
hey man,
you're looking at 7-1 in the SEC right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the one weird loss to Florida, but because we can't hold on to an 11-point lead at Arkansas and a 17-point lead at home with Kentucky, we're looking at missing out on the double bye and the SEC. So yeah,
we'll dribble it off our foot, and then we'll hand the ball out of bounds. Then we'll run up and down the baseline when we shouldn't. It's dumb stuff. I think that's what pisses me off the most when those runs that we give up. They're so JV. It's not like where we just go cold. We just go stupid at times. No, I agree though. Tennessee should pull this one out, but Ole Miss has a tendency to be a buzzkill, and this is a perfect time for them to do that. We've got a segment here called Bench Court, where you kind of go through conferences and kind of look at them in the race of what they're going through and heading toward into the second half of the season, as we've already made our way through the first half of the conference schedule, which is insane that it's already happened. March is upon us, and we got to get the dialogue going. We got to start talking. So to kick things off here, we've got the A10 and St. Louis with a 1-game lead over George Mason.
This is a fascinating one to me because neither of these two schools are good enough to play in the tournament for sure, and we're deservingly, if we're just looking at talent, we'll make it in on it at large. There's not a resume there. St. Louis lost to Stanford, and George Mason's lost to Virginia Tech and Rhode Island. St. Louis has a cakewalk of a schedule for A10 wise. Ken Palm doesn't have them with anything less than a 73% chance to win any of these games. Like up until they play George Mason, which is the last game of the year. If George Mason's got a little bit rougher role to go, but if they get there at the end, it could be a very interesting game there because the 1 seed versus 2 seed is a big deal in these small conference tournaments. Because you get to miss whoever the 3 seed is, which will probably be BCU. But it's just one of those things to keep an eye on because whoever makes it out of this tournament, even if it's BCU, is going to be probably a popular upset pick for whoever they draw. So they've got pretty decent. They're pretty good teams, and there's not strong resume. I don't know. I hope I want this one to come down to the last game of the year. It's always so much fun. I want to see that. And it's March 7th is the one they played. It's on the Saturday. That one should be on the TV if it gets down to that. But the chances of George Mason making it through all these teams with a good chunk of them on the road seems to be slim to none.
This is another year and another weird A10 year. Obviously, St. Louis and George Mason being at the very top, but you got Dayton and Davidson kind of square in the middle there. And then Richmond, who's always been a kind of a threat, and Loyola, who was supposed to be pretty decent this year. Everybody had high hopes, but RIP Sister Jean, squarely at the bottom. It's just a weird A10 year, but I'm here for it. I'm this is the one time I'll be interested in an A10 game in March when St. Louis plays George Mason. If both teams hold serve, this is going to be an absolute fantastic game, and it'll have a lot of implications of what happens in March and Sunday. So definitely tune into that one.
Yeah, I hate to see Dayton not more in the mix on this, but with their anemic offense, it definitely doesn't help them. Definitely an interesting conference to watch. I've got kind of with you, Jake, and I think everybody. I want to see it come down to the last game of the season. That'd be huge.
It just sucks that neither of these teams either had the chance to schedule or opted not to schedule enough teams to school tonight enough because they just. Clara, I don't know how much work that's going to be. It's unfortunate that neither one of these teams is going to be able to earn at large. A10 has 2 teams that are worthy of being in there, and I don't think. And maybe the selection committee will surprise me and actually do it. They're worthy of being in there, and they did not set themselves up for anything other than the picking up the conference championship.
All right, what about ACC? I mean, it's Duke and Clemson right now.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and that's what Duke is right now. Clemson's a game out, and then you have a handful of teams flirting like Virginia and NC State. Miami's got 2 or 3 losses, but everybody else is around that 3, 4, 5 loss range that would even be remotely considered for contention here. Duke has an opportunity to completely run away with this. They are the absolute heavy favorites to win this conference. Barring any major letdowns, it should be their conference to win. But Clemson's hanging right in there. This is a really squirrely Clemson team. So when they play Duke, it will be interesting. But, Duke's got some tests coming up here. They've got North Carolina on Saturday, and I think they got Michigan coming up here soon too. So some big games for Duke. I mean, obviously the Michigan game is not a conference game, but it's still some some big tests for them. So I definitely think Duke is going to win this conference by at least 2 games, maybe even 3.
Yeah, well, like that's the most likely. It's just where this one gets interesting is the fact that like Clemson's remaining schedule as Stanford in California, Wake Forest, Florida State, but like the bottom of the ACC, and then Duke and North Carolina and Louisville. But they have to go on the road to Duke and North Carolina, but they get Louisville at home. So like Ken Palm only has them projected to lose at Duke and at North Carolina. Got to beat Louisville. If somehow they're able to sneak and grab Duke, and then like this gets real interesting because Duke's schedule is like they've got the tough part of the ACC coming up. Once they got North Carolina twice, Clemson, got Virginia and NC State, the better teams in the ACC. So there's more chances for them to screw up than Clemson, but I don't think it's going to happen. Duke seems to be able to name their score, and they do that, and they hold you to whatever they want to hold you to. So I don't know that like Clemson struggles offensively. Lord, they held Pittsburgh to 16 points in the first half Saturday, and then almost lost the game. They refused to score and let Pittsburgh score and all over the second half. So it's the chances of this actually being interesting are slim, but it's really going to depend on what North Carolina does because their best chance to beat Duke is at home this coming Saturday. If that doesn't happen, there's not really a chance for Clemson to take the 1 seed here.
For the ACC's sake, it would be fun to make this interesting. I just don't think it's going to be.
The benefit of Duke having the tougher schedule is that then every other team that has a chance to get up there, they've got a game against. So that cuts both ways because that means Duke has a chance to make sure you have nowhere near the ability to overtake them. Honestly, Virginia, NC State, or Miami, and even North Carolina don't really see a way for any of those teams to beat Duke.
All right. So that's it. That's it for our bench court segment, and we'll have more of those to come here in the following episodes. But to kind of finish things up here, we've got our bench behavior being Amari Bailey, with 10 games in the NBA, is now seeking college eligibility. What a freaking joke! I know this is just kind of a hot topic, but you can't help but mention it. You can't help but discuss it. This is
the first time I'm going to be mad at the player. Typically, you can excuse like the player's just like, okay, whatever, and the school or whatever or somebody else is trying to. This is the first time I know the player actively seeking it out. All they got to do is get some judge in whatever county that happens to be a donor to that school to like let them go play, because that's all it takes. Because then you get a snowstorm and you get an extra 10 days. So this is the recipe that apparently works, but this is insane. If this goes through, and for any reason, because we've already seen that the NCAA has no say, so it's going to be whatever judge hears it. If this goes through, then there are no rules for eligibility. There's no reason that Zagai Ziegler can't be back next year. There's no reason that Carlo gets hurt and goes back to rehab for a year, or the same stuff like that. Like it's going to be treated very similar to the minor leagues, and guys are going to go up and down all the time. And then that kills high school too. Like you're going to have to be freaking Cooper Flagg or Darren Peterson or something to get any kind of love from college, because like, why would I go get 17, 18-year-old kid who's unproven when I can get this 25-year-old man to come down and take care of the same role? Like,
see, I'm just waiting for Zachy to take his extra year of eligibility and come back and play for Purdue, and then maybe Jaden Ivey will follow suit. And
get Carson Edwards too. Why not?
Carson Edwards, he's got a year. Just bring back a dream team of Purdue Boilermakers and see what we can get done here. No, I think this is absolutely insane. And the NCAA is probably going to go through, and it's just, I don't know. It's getting to the point where don't even make rules because you can't follow them. Nobody knows what they are. The coaches that follow them are going to, and hell, we're talking about this. He's going to come back to college and play, and it's not going to work because he's learned an NBA system that doesn't translate to college basketball, because all these guys that have gone to the G League and gone to the NBA and then come back down to play, they come back in and they're not on the same page as these college kids. And it's weird because I don't think it's a talent thing. It's a team thing. And they don't gel with teams because NBA is such an individual sport for most teams right now.
It's got to be so weird. If you ever had the experience where you're not doing something wrong, but nobody's happy, nobody's really happy that you're there.
Yeah.
And so it's just awkward no matter which way you look. So you're uncomfortable, so you're not playing well, and then that just makes everything even worse. And it's just like at the same time,
Quicksand.
at the same time, like guys in the locker room, they went through all the summer workouts, all the
Exactly.
2 days and running and conditioning and blah blah blah, and they're dealing with the school stuff and they're having to go to class and all this, and like then all you just come in and you're just taking somebody's spot. I wouldn't be happy about that. Because it's not like a trade or something where a spot opened up. You just literally came in and said, "That locks everybody down a spot on the depth chart." Like,
No, it's a failure. It's a loser that is coming in and taking your spot on the team after you put in the work. A failure is. I completely agree with you just said, Jake. That was gonna be my point. That the team chemistry that just kills it. I mean, and maybe Amari Bailey might be a great guy. He could be an awesome dude. He could be the best guy. But
Take your best guy stuff to another team, another sport. Get it out of college basketball.
go play in Europe. Just go play in Europe.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Or China or Australia or wherever the heck else they have pro basketball that people do well. I mean, there's guys that absolutely love playing overseas and just look like, go do that.
Yeah.
Get
I've
your
heard some great success stories.
This is just crazy. And like, it's got to be a money grab thing, right? Like, because a man's like, "Ooh, I can get paid."
Exactly. That's what I was saying last. Yes.
I don't understand that thought process of like, "Hey, that's not working here. I'm clearly not good enough. Let me go step back down to play with kids that are younger than me, so I can pick on them." Like, I don't understand it at all.
Well, just so we don't get picked on, we better go in here and go play the rest of this ball game.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're getting the side eye from the coach right now.
See y'all next blowout.
Take care, y'all.
See ya.